Hello and welcome back to the Scale Modelling Cafe. My name is Jamie and welcome to a bit of a news flash. Again from Eduard. They've just released a Info Eduard special on their Eday, and in there is some more details of some of the new kits for 2023. So what I thought I'd do is throw up another video. Now, some of these I mentioned before in the previous news flash video, but we got a little bit more meat on the bones, a little bit more granularity, as they would say in HQ. And I thought I'd film this straight away. So much so, the cup of tea I made, I was just going to sit down and chill out for 10 minutes and have a cup of tea. And I happened to see this on Facebook. So I went and had a look and thought, oh crikey, I ought to make a video straight away. So excuse the cup of tea. That's really nice. Right, so as I said, I've spoken about some of this already before in the previous news flash, but there's a few more additions to it, and like I say, a little bit more detail, a little bit more meat on the bones. So, starting off, to be released in the spring. Now, actually, even before I start off in that, they did mention a few things are coming out at the end of the year. Some special editions. One of them is an Mi-24 Hind in 48 scale. I think it's the Zvezda plastic. And one of those special edition releases is that really cool like aliens scheme, which I'm assuming they're going to do with decals, and that's going to look amazing. Right, I just thought I'd get that out of the way first. So, sort of chronologically, I'm going to go through this in sort of order of release. In the spring, we're going to get a Guadalcanal limited edition dual boxing of the F4F Wildcat and the P-39, and I'm assuming it's their old tool P-39, which is still a very, very nice kit. I think the trailing edges are a little bit thick, but other than that, it's jolly nice. And they said in the magazine thing that they're going to be releasing Zeros and Wildcats all the way through the war as they go along, sort of one after the other or at the same time, complementing each other and doing the whole development of both those aeroplanes next to each other, which I think is really cool. One thing they did say in there is some of the market reaction. So in America, it was just mad how insatiable the American modelers were when they went there to the Nationals with the Wildcat. But they had the opposite in Japan. Some Japanese modelers have been extremely pleased, but it's been a bit weird over there, apparently. It's almost like, you know, why are they doing our sacred aeroplane type thing? Which is most odd. Anyway, I just thought I'd comment on that. Later on in the year, along those lines, they are releasing the FM2 Wildcat and the F4F4 late Wildcats. I don't know exactly when they're going to be coming out, but the FM2 I'm quite interested in. I've built the Armour Hobby early F4F4 with the smaller tail and stuff. And I've got another one in the stash that I'm going to do as the Fleet Air on. So I'm actually going to wait for the FM2 to come out, and I'm going to get that as an Overtrees, whack it in the stash. Go and watch my stash video for the reasons why. As I said, they're releasing Zero kits along with the Wildcat kit. And one that's really interesting is the A6M2-N roof seaplane version of the Zero, which is a really cool thing. And I had in mind, well, why don't I take an old Tamiya, I think it was Tamiya or Hasegawa roof, and convert the Eduard kit for that. No need to do that anymore. And actually, I'm kind of glad, because they're retooling the fuselage and the wings specifically for this roof variant. So clearly, there's different aspects to the wings and fuselage where it all mounted, and if I was going to take a normal aeroplane, and that would be a bit of a pain, I guess, to modify that for the roof. So I'm actually glad I didn't go down that route. And that's coming, and I'm quite interested in that. Again, that's due out in the spring. Oh, excuse me, that is so nice. I really need that. One thing they didn't mention was the A6M5. So I'm assuming we'll see that in early 2024. That's a complete guess. Maybe they'll surprise us and release that later on, maybe with the FM2 Wildcats towards the end of the year. I don't know, but they didn't mention it specifically in their thing. Okay, that's those two. Right, another kit that I mentioned on the last video was the 1/72nd scale BF. Well, I suppose it really should be the Me-21 F-2 and F-4, which is due out in the spring. Again, we got pictures of the box art and a couple of the CAD renderings. But in their little blurb, they said that it was based on the S109 kit in 72nd, which means that we will more than likely get that really cool landing gear mounting system, which is epic. So really pleased to see that coming. I'm going to get these, definitely. What they also announced is in Q3 and Q4, in Q3 we're going to get the G2 and G4, and in Q4 we're going to get the G6 and G14, which is awesome because, to be honest, I prefer the later variants. What I will be doing though is I will be getting all of these, and they will be coming to the channel 100%. Quite a few of you have asked me to do a winter whitewash, so I'm going to look to be doing 72nd F in winter whitewash along the lines of the 48th ones I did, which I lost all the video for, which is a right pain. Yeah, stay tuned. That is coming. Right, that's the end of the tea. You'll be pleased to know. So we will get the F and the G series next year. They did mention the K4, and the K, they said, is coming. That to me says we're going to have to wait for 2024 for the 72nd scale K4, and I'd imagine the AS variants and the G10s as well, 2024. That's just purely a guess by me. They didn't mention it other than the K4 in passing, that fear not, we will be getting a K4, but not in 2023. Either way, really exciting for the 109 fans out there, of which I am a huge one. Right, moving on to the summer, and another kit that was announced in the last video was the K4. Just a little bit more detail on the release dates for that. The IPMS Nationals next year in America are in San Pedro. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Pedro? I say Pedro. That's in August, and they're going to get that kit and they're going to release that at the Nationals. I'd imagine they'll bring 500 boxes of that along with them. That's what they did with the Chattanooga Choo Choo Mustang and with the Wildcat, and they'll be doing that the same. So that'll be out there in August. In the UK, we'll probably get that, I'd guess, late August or sometime in September. So great to have some actual sort of detail on when we're going to see that. And once again, I am going to get that. I've got the G6 AS kit that I'm going to do as a 14 AS kit in there, and that will be coming to the channel probably next year. It's definitely quite high up in the Hago schedule. Right, moving on then into the autumn, and this is when we're going to see the another kit that was announced in the previous video. Is the get this right, yeah, the S199 and the CS199. Now, the little bit of extra detail on this is it's a little bit contradictory in what they said. They said it was based on the earlier F and G series kits, but then they also said they designed the S199s first and then scaled it down to the 72nd one, and that happened to be ready first, which is why they released it in 72nd first. It's purely that. Therefore, I'm a bit confused. Is it going to be effectively a scaled up with more detail and tweaked here and there as required 48 scale? So we'll get that really cool undercarriage mounted leg, or because they said it was based on the earlier F and G series models, is it going to have the old style, which it's okay, the undercarriage mounting, but you have to set it yourself and it can move and it's not as solid as the other one. If I was a betting man, I'd say it's going to be the scaled up version from the 72nd, and they're just basing the 48th, the basic shapes of, you know, the wings and the fuselage, obviously not all the lumps and bumps on the nose, and cockpit parts, perhaps, on the earlier 48 scale kits. It's probably a mismatch of the two if I was a betting man. That's me reading between the lines and trying to untangle exactly what they mean. Now, bearing in mind they're writing it in Czech and then they are translating it to English. Their English is superb, but I think there's something slightly being lost in the message there. It is a little bit contradictory, a little bit confusing. But I reckon that's what they've done. They've taken the design elements from the 72nd scale kit, but using the basic CAD shapes for the main parts, I reckon. So that's the S199. Right, where are we here? Right, now, in the winter, there was a Mig-21 that was announced, and I couldn't quite see it on the screen. One of you very, very kindly said it was the F-13. So this is going to be, in 1/48 scale, a Mig-21 F-13, which is the early one with the sort of bubble canopy and the smaller nose. Now, I think this is a really pretty aeroplane, actually, and it's arguably my favourite Mig-21 variant, if I do have a favourite. I do think it's a very cool aeroplane, one of the adversaries we used to train to go up against back in the day. And yeah, like I say, it's a really pretty aeroplane, especially in natural metal. The initial release is going to be a limited edition release, and most of these new releases are going to be limited edition releases. This one, rather than being a dual combo type thing, is going to be limited edition Czech special with a book, like what they've done with the Hind, albeit that was other people's plastic, and the Spitfires. So I'm guessing it's just going to be one kit in the box, and you're going to get a book with it and a load of different Czech schemes coming. That's really cool. I'm probably going to wait and I'll get the overtrees. In fact, I'm going to get overtrees for most of these, frankly. And you can go and see the stash video for the reason why I'm that as well. But that looks, I reckon that's going to be a really, really nice kit, I think. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I really want to get one of those as well. And be a good practice for the natural metal again, which hopefully you'll see eventually when my lightning video gets released. Who knows when that will be? Hopefully soon. Right, the other kit that was announced, and this is the surprise, and this is the brand new release that we'd all been hoping for, but it was all unconfirmed, and that is a new tool, 48 scale, P-51 B/C, due out in the winter. I reckon that's probably going to be November, December time, towards the end of the year. So almost in 12 months' time, at time of filming. I believe that's what professional people say. Not that I'm professional, far from it. That's really, really cool, actually. It is my least favourite variant, but I'm very, very tempted by the new Armour Hobby kit, because I do like some of the schemes that they're releasing that in 72nd. And yeah, it's one that modelers have been clamouring for ever since their D bubble top versions were released, and I can see that working out to be exceptional. Oh, excuse me, sorry, that's the T repeating. I can see that being exceptionally popular, that model. So yeah, really exciting on that. Goodness knows what colour schemes are going to arrive in. We shall have to wait and see. Alongside that was something that they've said they've been developing at the same time in parallel. And that is another upscaling of 72nd scale, and that is a Mig-15 in 48 scale. Now, they didn't specifically say, again, a little bit more smoke and mirrors, maybe something lost in translation. No CAD renderings on this one, even though they said it's being designed in parallel with the Mustang. So I'd imagine maybe we won't see that at the end of next year and it will slip into 2024. But a new tool 48 scale Mig-15 from Eduard, I think, is a really, really cool prospect, because no doubt it's going to be riveted. And I've built their 72nd scale kit. It's beautiful. I did it as a derelict one, and I did end up riveting the whole thing, and it was quite awkward to rivet, actually, because trying to get all the vertical rows down the fuselage was difficult. Managed it though, just using some flexi tape and a bit of Siemens eye. But the wing fences were moulded integral with the wing, so trying to get the rivet wheel all the way up to the end was a little bit trick. That could be solved with the Galaxy models with the sort of corner thing. So I'm going to go invest in some of that, some of those. But yeah, really exciting that they've announced that they are doing that, and hopefully we'll see that at the end of 2023. But if not, more than likely early 2024. And no doubt there'll be more details to come throughout next year anyway. So that's really exciting. Okay, the last kit is another 48 scale Me-109, or Mig-15, as they would say, and that is a G12, so the two-seater. Now, personally, I am for that. I'm completely meh. I'm a massive fan of the 109, really am. Pretty much all variants, right from the A all the way through to the K. But the two-seaters just don't do anything for me at all, frankly. But it is the kind of the last missing piece in the jigsaw, I guess. And I'm sure it will be popular. Clearly less popular than all the other variants. And again, I say clearly, but that's my opinion. No doubt some people are going to be clamouring for it. But yeah, I think I'm really pleased they're doing it, even though myself, I'm not going to be, I nearly said Irene then, myself and Irene. I shan't be getting one of those, but I'm definitely going to get the K, and I'm definitely going to get all the 72nd ones. But really nice that they've announced that, and that's going to be coming out at the end of the year, and there's some CAD renderings for that. Right, so that's it for new plastic. As I said, some of it was announced at Eday during the presentation, and I brought that to you in the previous Eduard News Flash video. The standout things for me are that we're definitely going to get the G6 and the G14 in 72nd scale at the end of the year, even though we knew we were going to get the Fs in the spring. That's really cool. That we're going to get the K4 in August. Certainly in America, you'll get that in August. I'd imagine probably September everywhere else. More detail that it's the F-13 in 48 scale, all confirmed. And the new ones that haven't been announced before, the new Mustang, Razorback Mustang, and the two-seat 109s. So yeah, really exciting release schedule from Eduard next year. One thing I did want to mention as well is they do talk about the brass in line. They're expanding their 3D printing. So all these releases, imagine cockpits, big ticket resin items like cockpits and engines and things like that, but also flaps, wheels, exhausts, propellers, seats, all those other little sundries that we as modelers love to throw in if we don't want to go the whole hog. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, sorry, just before I get on to the other thing I wanted to mention, I will just mention their space range. Now, in my stashes video, I said I'm a massive fan of the Space Range. That is 3D printed decal, instrument panels and consoles and things like that, plus some of the most important photo bits in photo etch that you could expect to see, like seat harnesses and other little, rudder pedals and bits and bobs around the cockpit just to dress things up. And I think with an aftermarket set of markings from somewhere, wherever, a Overtrees box and a space set, that's the way to go, because you get more detail in that than the Profi pack. That's just me. So there is a little dip on there that they're expanding the space range, which I'm particularly pleased about. Right, actually the thing I wanted to speak about as well, right at the end to wrap up, is Eday the Riveter range. So I guess that's a play on the Rosie the Riveter. I'm wondering if that's a trademark. That's why they can't use the Rosie the Riveter name. But they had a picture there of a P-38, all in gloss black with raised rivets, the decals. I suspect it's probably the Tamiya kit. And I've not used them, but they are the like the HGW type thing where you peel off the carrier film. They are expensive. They explain the reasons why in one of the newsletters for the Mi-24 Hind. But actually, I think it will leave a really, really nice result. The one kit that they did mention there is a set for the Zvezda Su-25 in 48 scale, which obviously being that thing all around the engine ports and everything is festooned in raised rivets. Now I've got the 32nd scale kit to do. I'm gonna do that at some stage, and that'll have Archer rivets applied to that. I'm hoping that they may do the 32nd scale one just down the back end, because that really is just where it's needed. Everything else is flush riveted. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention the Eday the Riveter, those two particular kits next year, and no doubt we'll see more. But I think at a trickle, it's clearly an awful lot of design work, production work for something of the sales that maybe not give them a return. So a bit of a service to modelers. So few and far between, I think, is the summary on that one. Okay, there we go. That's it. So in summary then, I'm not going to go through the list again, don't worry. Some really cool releases that are coming out, most of which we heard of already. Now a little bit more detail on the kits themselves, and a few of the kits tying down a bit of a tighter release schedule. All in all, exciting times for 2023 for Eduard, and a lot of these are going to be appearing in the channel as full builds as they trickle out. Right, okay, I think I better leave it there, because I'm going to have to go away and edit this now, and I'm going to upload it straight away and bring that to you. So it'll be great to have your comments down below. I will, if I can work out how, put a link to their Info Eduard magazine that I got all this gouged from, so you can go and read it yourself. There's a lot more blah at the front about Eday, lots of photographs from the event itself, and some of the Q&A answers to some of the questions. Some interesting stuff in there actually, especially about how they've had a hit in sales that they're putting down to the Ukraine war after the kind of peak of COVID. It's dipped back down again. Yeah, so some interesting stuff in there. Right, hands to editing stations. Thanks very much, and expect more of these as more manufacturers towards the end of the year announce their 2023 lineups. So thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.